Hello everyone, I'm Mike DeAngelo with That's Entertainment, and this is your video review of Fable 2 by Lionhead Studios. Peter Molyneux, the head of Lionhead Studios, is used to playing God. With games like Populous and Black and White under his belt, he has the ability to convince the industry of greatness in all shapes and forms. He used his powerful voice to maintain that his 2004 release, Fable, would have a plethora of features and content, which many gamers were eagerly awaiting. Then, upon the game hitting the market, many consumers were shattered by the realization that the title that they were anticipating was not the same as the game they received. Despite that hang-up, and the uncharacteristic raging from the gaming community, Fable was still a good game. It wasn't great as Molyneux lauded, but it was still fun and easygoing. 4 years later, the sequel was set to come out, and Lionhead, studio head, was singing praises of the game to whoever would listen. Then, it hit the market, and gamers once again had the opportunity to see for themselves. Does Fable 2 live up to the hype that Molyneux pushed on it, or does it suffer because of it?
Shoot to kill. And while you're breaking their hateful little heads open...
Children often dream big. They have a general innocence and curiosity that allows them to believe that anything is possible. For the sake of those who are playing Fable 2, this is good, considering the events that begin to unfold. After selecting the gender of the main character, Little Sparrow and his or her sister Rose, hear the boisterous sounds of a merchant selling his wares in the Bowerstone market. Mystical Murgo is a caricature of Molyneux himself, as he makes inane promises that simply are unfounded. Case in point, he is selling what he thinks is an ordinary music box that, according to him, will grant a single wish to whoever plays it. What Murgo doesn't know is that there is some truth to his schemes. After a brief workload of menial chores, Sparrow and Rose purchase the music box and bring it back to their home, where they make their wish, to live in Bowerstone's Castle Fairfax. After an uneventful night, they are awakened by guards before daybreak, and summoned to the castle. It seems that their wish has come true. Unfortunately, and mysteriously, the master of the castle, Lord Lucian, has other plans for the kids. Following a painful tumble from the top of Castle Fairfax, Sparrow survives, and endures. As years pass, a gypsy woman named Teresa informs Sparrow that it is their destiny to become the downfall of Lord Lucian, and begins grooming them for the task. Fable 2 is a lesson in simplicity. While this may seem like an insult directed toward the game, it isn't meant to be. Consider how much goes on in our daily lives, and how much of that is absent from most games. Love, work, and on a much milder note, adventure fill our days, but not in the same capacity that most games represent. The core game does not focus on all of that. Instead, the narrative takes place over a variety of mostly linear locales, forcing you to fight with either a melee or ranged weapon, or magical attacks. On a good note, the combat is fairly lighthearted and casual in nature. While some battles may seem to put you in over your head, it is far and few between that you feel that you are suffering. The extra content of the game is what pushes Fable 2 past mediocrity and into something more. Throughout the world of Albion, you can find willing employers who will pay you for your hard labor. With the extra coin you make there, you can purchase a home to live in, or rent it out to eager tenants. If your heart so desires, you can try to woo a civilian, court them, and start a family with them. And if residential life seems too dull for you, you could always take your trusty canine companion on a treasure hunt. As fun as these things can manage to be, certain aspects of the game feel rather dated. As an example, the social interaction seems to be very meager. With a lack of any real controllable dialogue, you rely on gestures to get your point across. This ends up making interaction seem very impersonal, which leaves your character feeling very underdeveloped. In keeping with the casual vibe of the game, the graphics of Fable 2 are like embellishments of reality. With the exception of the dog and a few other animals, everything looks bigger than they should. There are more muscles, more fat, and more clothing than we are typically used to seeing on characters jumping out from the screen. In some places this isn't too detrimental, but at other times things seem a little ridiculous. The music is uninspired, leaving a lot to be desired. But the sound, when considered in general, is beyond worthy of praise. Though your character says nothing, the other residents of Albion are written and voiced so well that sometimes you'll have to stop playing while you end your laughing fit. Consider Fable 2 as a game not burdened by hype, and you have a very competent, full-featured game. There is literally dozens of hours worth of content to dive into, some obviously more entertaining than others. On the other hand, though, You have a title that promised so much more to the gaming community. One of the more exciting facets of the game that has been touted by Lionhead Studios was the multiplayer co-op. Instead of functioning in a manner befitting an adventure title where you develop your character, an immense amount of strain prevents you from gaining anything while joining a friend's game. This ends up making the idea of co-op laughable at best and disingenuous at worst.
Oh, in the North Wing. Lord Lucian hasn't been in there since
The question remains, does the game live up to the hype? In a word, no. However, that isn't to say that the final product isn't good enough to merit a purchase. If you were to hear no preconceived notions about the game and make your own conclusions, you would probably end on a high note. It is in the context of both Molyneux's own pandering, contrasting with all the gamers who felt spited by the weakened features, that you may end up developing a long-lasting hatred towards the game, and most likely the franchise in general. Instead of passing up what you may think is a great game, give it a chance, and you might develop some hype of your own. That's Entertainment awards Fable 2 a score of 8 out of 10.
Hello, we've come to buy the music box.
He awoke to a familiar face watching over a strange bed. He reached out for the comfort of the dog's warm fur, ready to take his first steps in a new life.